And he taken me to see several stone concerts here at the garden. Well, yes, I've been there. Every year. The Senate, Mrs. Eisenhower gives a lunch to the Senate lady. Lee Radziwill died in her Manhattan apartment in February 2019. Everyone thought she was broke. The Kennedy family believed she was selling jewelry just to pay bills. But 5 weeks later, lawyers revealed a shocking secret. Lee had hidden a $50 million fortune from everyone. Even more surprising was what she did with it. She rewrote her will just months before dying, and the person she chose to inherit everything will leave you speechless. This wasn't just about money. It was the final move in a decades-long family war that started with Jackie Kennedy. She was born Caroline Lee Bouvier on March 30, 1933. The birth took place at Doctors' Hospital in Manhattan, a place known for catering to New York's wealthiest families. But even in that elite setting, her arrival caused a stir. Her father, John Blackjack Bouvier, was a Wall Street broker with more confidence than cash. He walked in wearing a camel hair coat he couldn't afford and handed out cheap cigars. He demanded that his daughter's birth be printed in the New York Times, a status move that cost $16, nearly $350 today. As her mother, Janet, recovered, Blackjack sent out 48 birth announcements on Tiffany stationery stamped with a gold family crest. That crest, believed to be from French royalty, was actually bought for $451 from a shop in Manhattan. By nightfall, word had spread along Park Avenue. The Bouvier now had 2 daughters who would turn heads for both beauty and money. Jacqueline was already 4 and called the incomparable. Now there was Lee. Lee's father quickly became famous for his bad behavior. Between 1935 and 1939, private detectives caught him having 23 affairs. His lovers included 3 show girls, a Brooklyn heiress, and a married yachtswoman he met at the Belmont Stakes. He bragged that he could drink a quart of scotch and still charm a woman. By midnight, Lee was only 7 when she heard her mother crying after finding a pawn ticket for Blackjack's sapphire cufflinks. He had used them to fund a secret trip to Havana with a showgirl. Lee grew up surrounded by this chaos. Her nannies swapped stories about her father like they were fairy tales. Later in life, she was drawn to men who reminded her of him, men with money, titles, or wild reputations. She told Truman Capote once, "Daddy taught me 2 things. Champagne before noon and never expect fidelity." By the time she turned 17, Lee had become a name in her own right. On Christmas Day in 1950, Life magazine published a full-page feature on her debut. The photo was taken by Milton H. Green. She wore a white satin gown inspired by Dior that cost $900 and had over 400 pearls sewn into it. Her mother ordered 2,000 prints of the photo to send as holiday cards. The postage alone cost more than a typical family's rent for the month. The magazine received over 1,300 letters asking about the tiara, which had been borrowed from Aunt Edith Beale, who would later become famous in Grey Gardens. That year there were nearly 2,000 debutantes in the U.S., but Life editors privately ranked Lee as number 1 for photogenic appeal. At one event in Philadelphia, another girl was described as pretty but no Lee Bouvier. The attention made Jackie uneasy. She told a friend that the world had crowned Cinderella before her stepsister even showed up to the ball. Her nickname, Lee, was not just a cute shortening. Her mother had chosen it to preserve her own maiden name and ensure it appeared in newspapers. At Miss Porter's school in Connecticut, Lee joined a group of wealthy girls being prepared to marry into European nobility. The school charged $1,400 a year, triple the cost of an Ivy League semester. In her classes, Lee earned high marks in the decorative arts of the French monarchy, but failed anything that involved managing money. One classmate remembered that Lee practiced curtsies in front of a mirror while another timed her dips with a stopwatch. The girls kept scrapbooks of eligible bachelors. Lee's included European aristocrats like the Duc de Brisac and the Earl of Dallas. By the time she graduated in 1951, she could set a formal table for 18, name 42 French cheeses by smell, and recite how to address every royal family in Europe. Her mother was thrilled. This was exactly what she had in mind. The Bouvier family lived like royalty, but it was all smoke and mirrors. The family income came from firewood, old rental properties, and timber. It had started to fall apart during the Depression. Tax records show that Blackjack's brokerage lost more than $200,000 between 1930 and 1940, worth about $4 million today. He kept up appearances by borrowing money from his wife's trust fund, staying at luxury hotels, and hiring drivers. The Bouvier name was supposed to trace back to French nobility, but in truth it came from Michel Bouvier, a cabinet maker in Philadelphia who once traded firewood with Dolly Madison. Lee herself wrote a school essay about her imaginary ancestor at Versailles and got an A-. The family crest was copied out of a French book and had no legal right to be used. Still, everything around Lee sparkled. Her world looked rich, but it was built on borrowed money and good acting. Lee was just 20 years old when she decided to marry Michael Temple Canfield. The wedding took place on 18th of April 1953 at her stepfather Hugh N. Claus's estate. The whole thing was rushed. Only 8 weeks after their engagement, 700 guests attended. Society columns called it a storybook romance, but in private Lee admitted she just wanted to leave home. Her father arrived drunk. Jackie had to walk him through the gardens to keep him from making a scene. Even the ceremony was hurried. There was no formal reception.